That's Prime Minister Modi inaugurating the India Energy Week. And what he said in the context of the India-EU FTA is significant as well. He said, and I quote, just yesterday, a major agreement was signed between India and the European Union. The agreement has brought on huge opportunity for crores of people, both in India and in Europe. This has become an example of coordination between two of the world's major economies. I congratulate my colleagues associated with the textiles, gems and jewelry sectors. This agreement will be extremely beneficial for you. This trade deal will not only give a boost to manufacturing, but will also greatly benefit the service sector. And he said that people are calling this the mother of all trade deals. I want to go back to our guests. Ambassador Puri is still with us. Mr. Srivastav is still with us. General Meston and Tatiana Kukreva is also with us. Ambassador Puri, so just in and of itself, if you were to view just the India-EU FTA in isolation, forget about what is happening elsewhere in the world and the global trading order being appended, etc. These were negotiations that started in 2007. I think that went on for about 4 or 5 years. Then it was suspended. Then I think it's the post-COVID world, the post-COVID era that made both sides realize that you basically have two things. For supply chains, there is an overdependence on China. And for markets, there is an overdependence on the United States. How much did this post-COVID era, sort of expedite these negotiations? Today, we're reaching at the conclusion of the negotiations on the FTA.
Zaka, you're again very right. Look, there's absolutely no doubt that these negotiations, which went on over 20 years, and I was also part of them for several years, bureaucratic lethargy, both sides pulling their legs up and saying, demanding the ultimate, etc., were there. And therefore, external pushes are always very important. Transatlantic was important. Remember, COVID, the supply chains, China, as you very rightly said, also President Trump. And in the very first term itself, he was putting the ante up on lots of these things. The fact that the European Union, which is the second largest economy in the world, slightly smaller than the United States, and has been there, done everything, thinks that India is a partner which is important for them to pursue, I think that's a very critical thing. This not only unleashes possibilities on trade, where even despite those large figures, I'm not so very optimistic, but for India, unleashes something very important, which is a segue, a signal for European companies, European corporates with their technological and financial muscle to invest in India, the Indian market, and then, of course, the global market thereafter. Okay. This is something very important. The recognition of India as not just a trusted and a good player, but an important and a significant player for the world, and being done by the European Union. On our part, too, we are willing to now look a little bit beyond just the United States, which was dominating in various ways, and we are following our old principle of multi-alignment. All of this, in my opinion, augurs well for India, but I want to say it also augurs well for the European Union, and I dare say for the world itself.
Okay, Mr. Srivastav, let me get a final word from you. In terms of, the sectors that were badly hit, leather, textiles, gems and jewelry, Europe, and particularly Western Europe, would be, some would say, a comparable market in terms of size and scale. How much do you think today's announcement will help address some of the concerns that these labor-intensive sectors here in India had?
So the best outcomes will be coming for labor-intensive sectors only. For example, the EU has very high tariffs, about 12% on garments from India. Now our competitors are, say, Bangladesh and Vietnam. The products of both the countries, they enter European Union at zero tariffs. So we were getting beaten there. Now with this FTA, we are hearing that we'll be getting zero tariff access to the EU market for most of the labor-intensive goods. So there will be a clear gainer in this. And the second part is the best part I like about this deal is that the product complementarity. For example, we are into labor-intensive products. So if we supply more and more, it will not hurt the EU domestic industry because they import most of these. So at best, India will be replacing other countries' product into the EU markets without hurting the EU local industries. EU is into high-tech and capital-intensive products like aircraft, machinery, this automobile components of high orders, high-end medical devices. So India doesn't make those things. So basically, it's a complementary product profile, and that's why both the countries are going to gain when we do FTA with certain countries there is local industry cry out. Here in the case of this deal, I don't think any problem at the
All right.
local industry level will be there for most products.
Okay, Mr. Srivastav, Ambassador Puri, General Meston, and Tatiana, thank you very much for joining us. We're getting a piece of breaking